folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I got a question for you, not to toot my own horn, but have you noticed anything different about me over the last 3 weeks now? Total, I'm down 11 pounds in 3 weeks. I've lost no muscle mass whatsoever. My body fat keeps going down because of this Energized Health program I'm on. And so I wanted to talk to you today about overall health, fitness, mind, body, soul. And I've gone down these, I don't want to call them diets, but call them workout programs, before workout, fitness programs, whatever you want to call it. And I have known from the very start that you have to make it a way of life, that the fad diets are never going to last you. You can't live off protein bars and shakes, okay? It may work early, but it's not going to last. So how do you transform your life, everything, from doing this? Well, I honestly found a program that is so simple, so easy. I'm still eating a lot of the same things I do. And look, folks, it works for me. I mean, it is working like you would not believe. And it's Energized Health. This podcast is brought to you by them, energizedhealth.com/Grant. And I wanted to break down what they're doing, why it works, and that there is hope for all of you out there. So with that, we're going to get our guest on. He's one of the founders of Energized Health. So let's get the show started, folks.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome. So I told you the founder would join me. Energizedhealth.com/Grant. John Jubilee is with me. He's becoming a quick friend of mine. John, welcome to the show.
Well, honored to be here, Grant.
Well, it's great having you on. And I want to just tell people, I was in pretty good shape. I mean, I'm 55 years old. I think if I go to my class reunions, I don't want to brag, but by far I'm in at least the top 1 or 2 of in the best shape before I started this, okay? So now I'm really tightening up and firming up. Are you surprised that I'm 11 pounds in just 3 weeks following your program?
Well, Grant, first of all, you know what? I really do, Grant. I honor you as a man, a 55-year-old man, and I will just say it for you. If you went to your high school reunion, I guarantee you are the best in shape guy at your high school reunion.
How old are you, John?
I've been to those high school reunions, Grant, and it's like, like you're walking up to people going, "You are who?
I
you
know.
are what?"
How old are you? How old are you?
Yeah, so in a couple of weeks, I'll be 64 years old.
Okay. And so you look great too. So obviously you're down the same road. I mean, there are people, I think once you hit that, sadly, I think the number starts to decrease every year. I would normally say once you hit 50, I think the number is 45, even 40 for some people. They look like grandpas, old, overweight, just not taking care of themselves. Their skin doesn't look good. And I've said to you on the Real America's Voice show, God gives you one body. If you don't take care of it, you're literally dead in the water.
Yeah, literally, Grant. And I want to say, first of all, I want to honor you before I answer your question. I want to answer your question. So literally, but I want to give your viewers a little visual here. So Grant, you lost more than 2 of these. So you lost 2 of these in 3 weeks.
All right, so that's 5 pounds, right?
Yeah, this is 5 pounds of fat. So you lost more than 2 of these of fat while keeping your healthy lean muscle, keeping your healthy hydration. And so I can honestly say I'm not shocked because that's really what happens to everybody. Anyone can do what you're doing. And when they do it, that's pretty much about on target with what people. Now, it is a little surprising that someone that didn't have that much fat to lose, like you, that you would lose 11 pounds of fat in 3 weeks because you didn't have that much to lose.
Yeah,
so Grant,
I was 200 pounds when I started this. That was the highest. Now, I weighed myself at night, 200 pounds. When I'm going to weigh myself. That's going to be the heaviest of my day. And I will fluctuate a couple pounds during the day. But so what I've done now is every morning, I get up, I take care of business, do all the things, and then I weigh myself. That's my standard that I judge everything else off of. So
Yeah.
200 pounds is a lot for me. I'm 5'9". I'm pretty stout when it comes to weights, though. I work out hard. But, man, I can notice a difference. And you hold up that. Can you do me a favor and hold that up again? Because I don't really know where that came from. Like you said, I was in pretty good shape. I don't know. Where would I put that on my body, John?
Well, I'll tell you where. And it's fascinating. Obviously, we've been helping people for 27 years. So a lot of people are so shocked. They're like, how in the world? In fact, one of your buddies, Wayne Allen Root, he lost 5 of those. And he said the same thing. He said, where did I have 5 of those in my body? And where it is, it's mostly in our visceral fat, which is our more dangerous killer fat. It's all tucked up in there, up against our organs. It's suffocating our organs. And that's the brutal part of it, right? Is we're thinking, we're kind of looking in the mirror and stuff, and we're thinking, man, I feel pretty good. I look pretty good. We just don't realize how dangerous and how sneaky, it's a sneaky fat. That visceral fat is the sneaky fat. It's all tucked in there up against our organs. But man, it's like we can breathe again when we lose that visceral fat. And that's probably mostly what you're losing. Which your buddy, Wayne Allen Root, by the way, almost all his 25 pounds was all visceral fat. And we know that because we measure, as you know, we FedEx people a device to measure your visceral fat, your subcutaneous fat. And by the way, just for your listeners, that's how Grant knows he kept his muscle, right? Because it measures your skeletal muscle, and you can see, did I lose muscle? Did I lose visceral fat, subcutaneous fat? Did I lose water? And Grant, come on, how many people out there went on some diet? I did this for 10 years, by the way. I'll just have total open transparency with everyone here. For 10 years, Grant, I did every kind of diet you can do. And I learned after the fact, oh my word, every time I went on one of these diets, Grant, the keto, the paleo, the Jenny Craig, the Weight Watchers, every diet I ever went on, I lost water and I lost muscle. And you know what is horrible about that is every time we lose our muscle, Grant, our metabolism drops. Yeah. Because metabolism is tied to muscle mass in the body. Well, and that's why as people get older, as they're losing their muscle, and you see those graphs where their muscle just drops down like a ski slope, they lose their muscle. Well, their metabolism drops with it, which means if you eat the same number of calories that used to keep you at a nice, healthy weight, you're going to be gaining fat every single year just because you lost that muscle mass.
When I was 40, we had my son. His mom and me when I was married at the time. We had my son at 40. And so I was not a good I was a better 200 pounds when I started this compared to the 200 pounds I was then, which was not a good 200 pounds. Okay. And I decided to do P90X. And I did P90X for a year. This is Tony Horton's thing. It was very popular. There's a diet component to it. And I got down to 159 pounds. Now, here's the only problem with P90X. That was an hour a day of a brutal workout. And I mean brutal. I did that for a year, but I was 40 and I could. At 55 right now, I cannot do that for a year. I had friends that saw my results. They did it. They did the brutal workout for an hour, and guess what? They didn't do any kind of diet component to it of even just cleaning up what you're eating. They did not have the same results as me. So I do believe that calories are lost in the kitchen, right? That overall, you've got to combine a workout that you can handle and a diet that you can handle. Because if you stress yourself on either way, there's no way it's going to last. And that's this program, John. I'm never hungry. I'm eating virtually the same things. A few things I've cut out, but virtually the same things. I'm working out in the weight room as much as I ever did. You've added little workouts to this, but nothing I can't handle.
Yeah, well, Grant, I'm so glad you brought that up. So, and by the way, God bless him. God bless Tony Horton, P90X. But I have met more people that were injured on P90X.
I've heard that. I've heard. Well, you are jumping around and you're doing all this stuff, which it may be why here we are. It's I guess 40. It's 15 years later from when I did it. That's kind of out of style now. I think a lot of that jumping around, but you're
No,
right.
well, listen, here's what I teach though. So I would say this to anyone. Look, if you can't do it when you're 90, it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So any exercise, as you know, I teach one cellular health exercise, but you could do it if you're 9, if you're 29, if you're 39, if you're 49, 59, 69, 79, if you're 99. I teach one exercise that's sustainable that people could do for their whole life. And if you can't do it for your whole life, if it's not sustainable, then who cares, right? So everybody was in shape when they were 20 or 30 years old. And yeah, they could do all the crazy, insane workouts, but it's not even because the workout they were doing, Grant. It's just because our metabolism is way up here when we're younger. And so that's part of what the science of Energized Health does, is we're resetting that hypothalamus and that metabolism back to what it was when people were 17 years old. And so you can reset it as you're finding out. But when people reset that, and by the way, I did this 27 years ago. So how many of you guys that are listening to us would say 27 years is sustainable, right? So I've been doing the same thing for 27 years. I've been the same shape and size for 27 years, not one medical doctor visit in 27 years. So I found out it's hard to make a healthy cell sick. And so when we focus on cellular health, guys, that's how you get healthy. And no medications, no doctor visits, no prescriptions, no HGH, no steroids, none of the crazy stuff, just cellular health.
Let me give you an interesting thing that happened to me. So I'm on your program now for 3 weeks, and last week, the end of last week, I went and got my blood work. So I tell everybody I am on testosterone, and testosterone changed my life around, but I'm seeing some indications I may be able to get off it. And let me tell you why. My doctor would run me about 1,000, whatever the level is of testosterone, and I did really well on it, and the free testosterone versus the other, all that stuff. When I went in to get my test, now I've been on this now for 10 years. My testosterone was 1350. Now, I didn't change how much testosterone I've taken from the last time I had my blood work. The only thing I changed was the Energized Health program, and my testosterone level is up 35%. How do you explain that? So now this week, I take my shot on Thursdays. I took my shot. I drew that thing out a little less because I don't need to be 1350, that's for sure. So I already started less testosterone. I hope I get to the point I wean myself off. Is that possible?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. You're not the first person that said that to us, by the way. So I just had a gentleman right here from California that, he said his testosterone went up about 800 points. I had a guy in Indianapolis that his testosterone went up about 500 points. We actually do hear that. We actually do hear that from people. And again, when you're just getting healthy at the cellular level, it just makes sense, right? Scientifically, that your body starts producing the healthy, balanced hormones that all of us are supposed to have.
And look, I want people out there to know, I mean, I'm up front. You guys are sponsoring the program, but I can show you the numbers on my blood work from 6 months ago to today. I mean, they don't lie. And so to me, I'm like, there can't be anything else. So you talk about this cellular level and it sounds all real scientific and all this stuff. What do you mean by that? You told me on the Real America's Voice show that our cells harden and that they can't take in the nutrients. And am I getting this right?
Yeah, you are. And you know what? Let me see if this will show up on the camera. If you guys can see in the bottom of this glass, these are like these little plastic Orbeez. So this is like what your cells look like in your body when you don't have cellular hydration. Now, all we did was added water, and this is what they look like. So this is what happens at the cellular level. See that nice, healthy separation in there, and you got more oxygen between, and you got better blood flow. You have better viscosity to your blood when that happens. So when you're changing at the cellular level, literally you're optimizing every organ in your body. So there's about 42 trillion cells in your body. And as your cells are healthy, just imagine now your thyroid is more healthy. Your pancreas is more healthy. Your brain is more healthy. Your heart is more healthy. Your liver, your kidneys, your skin is an organ. Your skin is actually your body's largest organ in your body. So I have people all the time, Grant, when I'm traveling and guys are sitting beside me on an airplane and they're like, and I tell them, yeah, I'm going to be 64 years old, in September. And they're like, dude, no blanking way. Let me see your driver's license. And I'm pulling out my driver's license, and they're like, how is that possible? Like, did you have plastic surgery? I'm like, no, dude, I'm a grape. What's the difference between a raisin and a grape?
Yeah. Well,
just
hydration, I guess, right?
It's just hydration. I say, dude, I'm just a grape. That's all. But that's what happens as we get healthy at the cellular level, is we just become the healthy grape. We got that great hydration. It's in our skin. It's in our kidneys. It's in our pancreas, our liver. And when we're optimized from the inside, of course, we look better on the outside. That's just what we call a positive side effect of cellular hydration.
Well, I used to have a friend who told me that water was the secret to life. And they would drink water like it's going out of style. And I hated water. I didn't even like to drink water. You know where I got my water was the ice in my vodka. I'll be honest. That's about as much water as I would get a day. Until this, now I'm drinking tremendous amounts of water, and there's some other things that you guys have in the program, the add in to get to this hydration level that goes beyond just drinking water. But what I was worried about, and maybe you can help me on this, is did I dehydrate my body so much? Can you restore it? Or, you get an old sponge, they don't always work as good, the real old ones that you have in the bottom of your kitchen sink, right? You got to get a new one. Did I dry it out so much that I can't get it back?
Well, here's the great news is the body, the reason our program is 88 days and 2 weeks is 88 days, Grant, is the cellular cycle of the human body. So the good news is those 42 trillion cells, they have a transformation cycle. And it's only about 88 days.
What does that mean? The cell dies and a new cell grows? Is that?
That's right. That's right. So you have the opportunity, every 88 days to literally transform your body at the cellular level. So I like to keep things simple. So if you guys, this are like two big glass marbles, and I made them like the shape of a cell. But that's what happens in our body. Our cells get like this, like hard as a glass marble. But as you transform in 88 days, they become like these beautiful porous sponges. Mm-hmm. And now when you make it a beautiful, healthy, porous sponge, of course, it can uptake the healthy hydration. But more importantly, it can push out all the toxins and all the inflammation gets out of that cell. And as that happens, that's where your vitality comes, your energy comes, your hormones naturally balance. Your energy level starts going through the roof, your natural healthy serotonin, your dopamine, all of your healthy chemicals come in your body, and you're actually pushing out the unhealthy, number one, cortisol. You're getting that cortisol out of your system because cortisol is the main hardener, by the way. That's what hardens our cells. So anyone, Grant, at any age can do an 88-day transformation cycle and get healthy again.
All right. It's interesting you mentioned cortisol. I did have that level in my blood test. I got to go back and look and compare the cortisol levels before. I didn't really look and compare that. So that would be interesting. And that cortisol comes with stress, right? So if you can lower those levels, that should help you lower your stress level. But the reality is people have stresses in life. I mean, Energized Health is great. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. I want everyone to go there, check this out. Start the process here of getting healthy. But Energized Health can't help me make payroll if I'm struggling to make payroll, right? That's awful stressful. Or the single mom who can't make her rent at the end of the month. But what is it? But it does ultimately help your mind and well-being, correct?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because here's what it can do though, is Grant, when we get just 10% dehydrated at the cellular level, just 10%, just a speck, right? 10%. When we get just 10% dehydrated, we lose half our neurotransmitters and brain synapses activity in our mind. So that's like walking through life with one leg. It's hard to walk on one leg, Grant.
Yeah.
It's hard to go through life. It's way more stressful in life if you only have half of your brain to deal with the stresses of daily life.
Yeah.
But when you have your full brain function, guess what? You actually do think differently. You think differently. Your brain processes differently about making payroll, taking care of those kids, dealing with the stresses of life becomes twice as easy. It's not what happens to us. It's what we think about what's happening to us.
That's very true.
And as we have all the power of our mind, how it's really supposed to be when we're fully hydrated and we have full function of our brain, life gets easier, Grant.
Yeah. Perception is everything, right? And your perception becomes your reality. And if you can start to perceive things in a more positive light, learn that every negative is a road to a positive. It's a lesson to be learned. I know it sounds corny, but it is true. You know, the other thing, not to take away from this, but the other thing that I've learned along the way is I've had so many highs in my life where I'm on top of the world. And then, you know what? I've had lows in my life where, you know what? I mean, thank God I've never been at the lowest of the low in the gutter, but I've had gut punches in life. Everybody has. And what I've learned along the way is I no longer take the highs too seriously. I don't let them go to my head, because I know a low is going to come. But the reversal of that is I also know a high is going to come when it's low. Life goes like this. If you just roll with it, you always have to have free will and do something about it. But when you're in a low, know that a high will come, and you just got to try to put yourself on the right direction and keep moving forward. Just be ready for the lows when they come. And you go on this ebb and flow. And I would say Energized Health, if you're in a low point in your life or you realize you need to get healthy, both mind, body, soul, you've got to have the thought process and the will to take that first step forward. You've got to always be moving forward on this. And this is just one step you can take to start moving and turning your life around. And I mean that from every angle, not just health, John.
No, Grant, that's so good what you just said. And and I'm just going to jump on with that I would encourage anyone that, look, if you want to change, you got to make a change. If you want something different, you just have to do something different. Sometimes, Grant, people pray and they say, oh God, please help me. Please help me with my health issue. Please help me with my weight issue. And then they don't do anything different. Mm-hmm. So there's a principle, even in the Bible, and I'm a big Bible believing Christian, by the way. But I also understand the principles of the Bible is nothing happens. Faith without works is dead. That's in the Bible. Faith without works is dead. Like, we have to do something. Like, we have to intentionally make a choice and have a corresponding action with our choice. So if you're listening to us today and you're one of those people, you've been praying to God, I need to lose this weight. I need to get back my energy. I need to get back my life. Well, can I just encourage you? Okay, well, here's the answer to your prayer, right here. I mean, this really is. And I say that with all humility. We have helped tens of thousands of people for the last 27 years. Yeah. And hey, if you say, man, this sounds a little bit too good to be true, you know what I say to you? Awesome. You're right. It does sound too good to be true. And we hear that 10 times a day, every day of our life.
Well, I could tell you that it's working for me. I mean, I can't tell you it's not. Like, the worst thing that would happen is you say, okay, I'm going to get Grant on board with this. And then I get no results. And then I got to tell everybody that it's great, which I wouldn't do because I don't endorse any product that I don't love. And I mean that, by the way. I've turned down people, but that would be really rough, right? But I'm hearing it's working. That's all I could say is it is working, and it is pretty easy. I mean, let me say this, John, because I don't want people to think that it's just easy. You take a shot and you go to bed and you wake up and you look like John Jubilee does. It takes a little bit of work, but it's not P90X. I'm telling you that, and it's not some crazy fasting for 24 hours and you can't eat and you wake up hungry and grumpy and all this. It's none of that. What do you make of this whole trend for fasting? Because in many respects, what you guys do is the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, well, listen, Grant, the whole fitness industry, I teach people when it comes to health and fitness and all that, like you better be what I call a beautiful, beloved skeptic. You better be skeptical and you better go do some research. So I'm not saying don't do anything. I say the opposite. I say, no, you need to do the right thing. So after you do some research and you find out, and I'm just going to say it plain to people. Look, you can go check our program out for 27 years. We have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. You go on Trustpilot or Google reviews or Facebook. Just go look at what real people say.
Yeah.
Like on the internet today, Grant, there's nowhere to hide, man. If you are a scam, they will post it on the internet that you are a scam.
No.
But if you're changing their life, the good news is for us, for 27 years, people post. It sounded too good to be true, but it really was true.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, people saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, you can find information today that totally diametrically opposes each other, right? So some people say fast, some people say don't fast. Some people say, do this training. Some people say do that. It's totally opposite. It's so confusing. Mm-hmm. We have more information than we've ever had. And when it comes to diets, and we're fatter than we've ever been.
Yeah. 70%
of Americans are obese. They're 30 pounds or more overweight, 70% today. And it's a worldwide thing now. But what I tell people is, look, if you want to fast, like my wife and I, we fast, but we fast for a spiritual reason, right? Because Jesus said, when you fast, not if you fast. Now, interestingly, there is a medical benefit to fasting. If you do a 3-day water fast, you will actually allow your organs to rest. You'll kind of recharge your body. A 3-day water fast is healthy, but people that teach to, do this fasting every day or, all the intermittent
fasting. Yeah.
All that kind of fasting. It's like, there's not, again, it's gimmick. It's a gimmick, to people.
Well, let me tell people where they can go for more information on this. Energizedhealth.com/Grant. It's all about getting hydrated, cellular hydration, and there's recipes. There's individual coaching involved in this. You're not alone. The videos every day from John and his wife are great, and you have the support there to get through this. And it's just a great program. Energizedhealth.com/Grant. John, let me just play a little bit of. You guys sent me some of these videos of some of the people that have done this. And let me just play a little bit of them, and then I'll get your response. Here we go.
Sounds good.
Again, but thank you so much. God bless you and your wife for doing everything that you're doing. It's so exciting to see not just the tip of the iceberg, but the John and Chelsea Jubilee iceberg that's under the water. It blew my mind, but that's when I took the deep dive. I'm so excited about jumping in.
I've met professional athletes that drink 3 gallons a day, and they're completely dehydrated because none of it's getting in the cell. And then they go on our protocol and boom, they totally transform.
I thank you because the motivation that I've been getting from the calls these evenings has been fantastic. Having a sister who's 9 years younger than I want to be an example for her to say in 4 months from now,
yes,
I'm in, get me in.
Well, if it's not simple, it's probably sales. Anybody that tries to make something sound complicated to make you feel like you don't know what they know is probably trying to sell you something. And we are the opposite. We want to actually simplify it so you can completely understand it, so you can implement it into your life and have true, lasting, sustainable changes. So don't step over the simplicity.
In these other weight loss programs, people have all this loose skin if they're looking at 50 plus pounds to lose. So do your clients have that same issue or?
Zero sagging skin.
I'm actually an OR nurse that does total joint replacement surgery, so I don't want to be my own patient.
No, you don't. But I'm telling you, I've seen people regrow all the cartilage in their hips and their elbows and their shoulders and their knees and their ankles in every joint in their body. People that were scheduled for hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements, and absolutely cancel every one of those surgeries.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
You showed investment in your health. And so that's why when I say it, and I absolutely do mean it, on the last night, I'll make sure every question gets answered because you invested in yourself, and I'm going to invest back in you.
You know what's interesting, John, is you mentioned the simplicity of all this, and I do find that that's the best part of this whole program. And simplicity. I worked for a guy for an advertising agency that was the basically creator of the old NRA. When the NRA was at the top of its game, this guy was a brilliant mind. His name was Angus McQueen, and he was out of Oklahoma City, and he's got a lot of big clients. Well, one of his clients was Brunswick Bowling, and he had a huge contract to name their new bowling ball. It's like a few $100,000 just to come up with the name for the bowling ball, and they're supposed to do tests. Well, he's sitting at dinner with the Brunswick, guys, and he says, I got a name. Why don't we call it the Rhino Ball? Goes down and knocks it like a rhinoceros, the Rhino Ball. And they all loved it. Do you know it became the most highest selling bowling ball, still is to this day, the Rhino Ball. It's what most people use. And they said, well, this is great. You did it at dinner. We don't need to pay you the $200,000. And he said, no, it doesn't work like that. He's like, you paid for my mind. That's what you got. It doesn't matter whether it takes me 10 seconds or whether it takes me 10 years to come up with it. You got a name that's worth way more than the $200,000 you were going to pay me because it became the best-selling bowling ball. And I only tell that story because there's no price on getting something great. And that's how I really feel, that if something works, it doesn't matter how simple it is it worth it to you to get your life back? And the Rhino Ball, it was for them, John.
No, that's so good. Yeah, that's so good. And I do love telling people, I say, hey, that's one of our principles, by the way. One of our 7 success principles is don't trip over the simplicity. Yeah, we have so many people, Grant, after the fact, just like you're sitting there telling your listeners this is so easy. We do make it easy. Now, is it really simple? It's not. There is thousands and thousands of pages of science-backed research behind what we teach. We just simplify it for people. We simplify it for people. We give them the simple sequential steps to do to get healthy at the cellular level, to lose that, basically about 5 pounds of fat almost every week. And if they're bigger than you, Grant, they literally lose about 5 pounds. They lose one of these fat blobs virtually every single week. And see, now you can imagine, if somebody really had weight to lose, of course they could lose one of those a week on our protocol.
Absolutely.
And that's what they do.
If you are overweight, really overweight, you should be able, if I can lose 10 pounds in 3 weeks, and I was not, grossly overweight. If you are, you should be dropping 10, 15 pounds a week. I wouldn't be surprised if you were real heavy, John.
Yeah, no, we have clients, again, we don't want to, people could see it, if they go on our website. Listen, we got 2 brothers this year. They lost you, Grant. They lost 200 pounds of fat. 2 guys, 2 brothers.
This is what you guys are doing, and I'm grateful to be associated with you. It's a fabulous program. I love health and fitness, and you and I think a lot alike when it comes to all this stuff. Even when you were talking about God and praying, and I believe in the power of prayer. It is so powerful. I ask people to pray all the time but I always tell people God gives you free will. You pray, but it doesn't mean you just sit back and wait for the gift. You got to do something about it, and he'll answer your prayers, but you got to be there too. And I think this is what this is about for a lot of people, John.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Look, pray and believe, but then have a corresponding action step. If you really have faith, you'll do something. You'll do something. You'll take an action. And, Jesus pointed his finger at Grant and said, be it unto you according to your faith. And you look in the Bible, he honored the people that did something. They took an action step. They came to see him, and then he healed them, right? They followed him for 3 days in the wilderness with no food, and then he healed them all. Yep. Because they took an action step.
Always be moving forward. That's what I tell people. John Jubilee, energizedhealth.com. It's great having you on the program.
Hey, I'm honored to be here, Grant. And thank you for everything you're doing, brother. You're a champion. You're a champion of America. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's great to hear that from you, and I really do. I'm humbled by your comments. All right, folks, let me just tell you again where to go and how to get there. Energizedhealth.com /Grant. The secret's in the science here, and the simplicity really is very, very real. And I would urge you, if you want to make a change to where you're going, go visit the guys over at energizedhealth.com. John and his wife do a fabulous job. All the coaches are great. The coach that's helping me has been fabulous along the way. Energizedhealth.com/Grant. Take advantage of that today. And we will see all of you on the Real America's Voice show tonight. We got some unbelievable stories. Oh, and by the way, I'll be doing Dr. Gorka's America First radio program nationally today at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure you tune into that as well. Thursday, the 15th of August. Folks, God bless every single one of you. Cinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you back here tomorrow.